If you're a fan of BMW sports sedans, but at the same time you need a vehicle for off-road recreation, the new 2013 BMW X1 is something you might be looking for. On one end, it's got the ground clearance, the cargo capacity of an SUV, along with an optional all-wheel drive system for driving in sand or gravel roads. Yet it maintains all the performance characteristics that a BMW Coupe sedan has, with a powerful engine, quick steering, nice brakes, and overall road manners. So you're kind of like getting two vehicles in one. That was our view from the front. This is the view from the rear. The standard engine in the X1 is a tiny 2.0 liter four-cylinder, but it does have twin turbo power, cranks out 240 horsepower overall. It's connected to an 8-speed automatic transmission, rear-wheel drive, and is rated at 24 miles per gallon in the city and 34 on the highway with a 28 average. Unfortunately, for those who like to shift for themselves, there's no 6-speed manual transmission offered in this car. Optional is a 300 horsepower Turbo 6 that's connected to an all-wheel drive system only. We'll talk about this engine a bit more once we get the real-world gas mileage figures for you. The cabin of the X1 isn't as fancy as what you get on some other European cars, but the key here is simplicity, along with excellent materials and workmanship. And here they did a pretty good job. The gauges are large, easy to read. The steering wheel controls are simple to use. There is a storage compartment in the top console here. Climate control, simple, just a few knobs to operate. The automatic transmission shifter has manual override. A nice sized glove box. And these seats are extremely comfortable. Some of the best I've ever sat in and great for long trips. I never felt tired or strained. This one had the optional panorama sunroof. And yes, it does close up here to keep the heat out. Overall, this is an excellent interior. There are a few quirks though, we'll cover those next. The cabin has a few odd features you might need to get used to. Here's one right here. On the bottom of the tachometer there is a so-called miles per gallon gauge. It bounces around back and forth, left and right while you're driving, giving you the exact gas mileage you're getting at that particular second. It's kind of redundant because over here on the display you have the actual gas mileage, which shows 23.2. I think an oil pressure gauge would have made a lot more sense and been more useful in this spot. But you can ignore this. It doesn't really serve any purpose in my book. There are two other items you should be familiar with before driving the X1. The first is the transmission shifter. It's a bit different than other vehicles. Instead of a slot for reverse, neutral, drive, drive low, and pulling it for each setting, all you do is press this forward once, press it back, and the old master computer brain does the shifting for you. But if you don't know what button to push, as in here, here, or when to put your foot on the brake, it's not going to work for you. So read the owner's manual before you try to use this, and after about a day of practice you'll be doing fine. Secondly, the auto-dimming mirror system automatically darkens the glass at night, so if you're on the freeway driving, the headlight glare will not bother you. But there's no disconnect switch, which means if you're driving in heavy city traffic and changing lots of lanes, it's kind of awkward to do when you have blacked out mirrors, which is why we should have an off switch, but we don't. So you just simply take a piece of tape, tape it over the sensor hole, like so, and that disconnects the auto-dimming mirror system. Kind of a cheesy fix, but it works. So the three items I mentioned, the miles per gallon gauge, the auto-dimming mirror, and the shifter, these are not really problems, they're just items you need to know about before you start driving the car, which is why we're mentioning them. One of the reasons I like coming out in the desert is you meet lots of nice new friends. And I got one right here. Let's see what happens when I grab his tail. Well, the good news is I caught him. Oh yeah. The bad news is he likes to bite. So I think I'm gonna let him go before he decides to bite me again. Well, that lizard tried to bite my fingers off, but fortunately I still have 10 left. So it's time to forget about wildlife and get my 10 fingers on the steering wheel and do some driving, which is what BMWs are made for. On the open road, this is a very relaxed car to drive because in 8th gear we're only pulling 2,000 RPM at 75 miles per hour. Gas mileage has already peaked over 30 miles per gallon, and I think it might get better as we go on. There is a bit of wind noise around the mirror area, but nothing to be alarmed about. This is a very solid body. It does an excellent job of filtering out outside noise. The solid construction also eliminates any rattles. What I liked most about the engine is the flexibility. It really pulls good at low speeds. But if you want to wind it out, the response is excellent. Cornering ability and high-speed curves is excellent as well. The response of the brakes is excellent, and the pedal has a nice firm feel. We're taking the X1 on some forest roads. This provides some tighter corners so we can evaluate the handling a little bit better, which so far is still impressive. And it appears we're killing hundreds of bugs which are landing on my windshield. Good thing I brought some Windex. Ooh, it's getting messy on that glass. Okay, we've got some very rough construction roads going on here. The suspension's doing a great job of absorbing the bumps, although the stiff sidewalls on those run-flat tires are making a lot of noise, but you can't blame the car for that. And it's becoming a bit difficult to see out of the windshield since I just murdered about 20 more giant bugs. I think we're going to have to pull over and resolve that real soon. Kind of like doing the Baja 500 here. Ooh, that was a big one. Well, I'm here driving through Skull Valley at the Skull Valley garage and I found myself another lizard to grab. Oh, he's got bigger teeth than the other one. Here, boy. Here, boy. Come here. I don't think this is going to work. I don't think he'll fit in the car either. That's it. I'll open the rear door, you just get right in. Oh, okay. It's a BMW. Just your style. Okay, I don't think you want to go for a ride. Now that we've cleaned the windshield off, we can do some more back road driving. And thus far I've noticed three things. First, the gas mileage is still excellent. I've been in these seats for about 5 hours on and off, and they're still very comfortable. Also notice that when the sun's out, the dash doesn't reflect into the windshield. Something I really appreciated, because when I see that on other cars, it's very annoying and distracting. I think it's a bit dangerous too, but that wasn't a problem in the BMW. Obviously the engineers thought about this when they designed the dash and solved the problem at the source. This BMW X1 came with an optional $1,200 light package. It includes high-intensity headlights. So since we're stuck out here in the dark, I thought I'd turn them on and see how they look up close. Okay, we got lots of bright light here. I already tried these on the highway. They did go a long distance, but up close you can see how intense the light is. Now I've turned the lights on low beam. And while the lights do ride a bit low to the ground, they are rather bright, and I have been using these for the past hour on the highway and found them more than adequate. So for your $1,200, I guess you're getting a pretty good deal here. If I was going to order an X1, I think I'd spend the money to get this option. However, since we will be driving down a street with lots of casinos and lights, I don't think we have to worry about how the headlights perform just now. One feature I liked about the X1 is its small size, which allows you to squeeze in small parking spaces. It comes in handy when you're trying to fit in these Laughlin Casino parking lots. Just a thought. Okay, it's time to do some more driving. I just installed an automatic garage door opener in my house, mainly because it stays open 24/7. Nothing like having a nice classy car and a nice classy big house. If you're going to take an X1 off-road, be advised that the run-flat tires stick out a bit further on the side than the wheels, which makes the sidewall subject to damage from sharp rocks. Also, the aluminum wheels on these vehicles are a bit fragile for serious off-roading, easily dented or scratched. So if you're driving in mud, sand, or dirt, you'll be okay, but if you're driving in the desert, you need to drive with caution so you don't damage the tire and get it flat. Since we're on the subject of tires, we'll discuss the ones issued on the X1, which basically covers BMW vehicles in general, because almost all BMWs are issued with run-flat tires. The main selling point is they're less likely to blow out at high speeds, which they consider a safety issue, although most tires today really don't blow out if they're good quality. The other issue is, should you get a flat, you can drive around 50 miles to go to a service station or repair center. Of course, the downside of this is these are very, very rough riding. They generate a lot of noise on rough pavement, and they're very expensive, running around $1,800 a set of four to replace, give or take. Okay, let's try this scenario. Suppose you're driving out in the middle of nowhere, like here. You get a flat tire with no spare, and the nearest repair facility within 200 miles looks something like this. Not very encouraging, is it? In this situation, you're going to have two choices. Your first solution in this situation would take your cell phone and call for roadside assistance, but that's assuming you can get a signal. If you do, you might have a long wait for a tow truck. The second solution on the right is to carry a can of fix flat and an air pump, which works fine if you have a nail in the tread, but is useless if you have a cut on the sidewall. The only real proper way to do this is to carry a spare tire. While BMW does not issue spare tires off the showroom floor, you can order them through the parts department, which I highly recommend. It's a far better solution than these two. The compact spare tires aren't cheap. BMW of North Scottsdale, Arizona provided me with an invoice. The wheel $294, tire $150, mounting and balancing $20, car jack $148, wrench $32. The total came to $645.43. Not cheap, but it sure beats being stranded or walking. And if you do a lot of off-roading, you might consider just getting a full-size wheel and tire to put in the back. BMW vehicles have no accommodations for spare tires or jacks, so you just have to toss it in the rear with the other stuff and just make do for the lost space. But once again, it's better than being stranded or walking, so it will still be my choice. I'm obligated to tell you that the BMW Owner's Manual recommends that you use run-flat tires exclusively on the X1. However, from a point of economics, we really have two choices. A, when it comes time to replace these tires, you put on another set of run-flats for around $1,800 and get a set of very rough riding noisy tires and no spare. Or B, put on a set of high quality conventional tires which should run about $1,100, which will provide the same performance but be a lot smoother and quieter, and with the money you have left over you can get a nice quality spare tire. The latter would be my choice, but of course in the end your choice of the two is up to you. This concludes our test of the X1, but before we leave I want to review some of the best features I found of this vehicle. Alright, the first feature I enjoyed was this 2-liter turbo engine. It's got lots of power, it's smooth, it's quiet, and it's fairly economical as long as you keep your foot off the throttle. I never did get the 34 miles per gallon on the freeway advertised, but then again I was pressing the car a bit harder than I should have for maximum fuel economy. 28 miles per gallon overall is what I got in general driving. It's really impressive engine, and I think you'll enjoy it if you get one with it. The optional 300 horsepower 6-cylinder, of course, would be even better, but that cost about $10,000 more on these, so I can live with this one. The second item that impressed me was this 8-speed automatic transmission. Yes, I like the 6-speed manuals that BMW offers, but after driving this 8-speed I wouldn't go back to a manual. In terms of performance, economy, and convenience, this is equal to the 6-speed or better in every other way. You have your choice between automatic normal driving, flick it over for automatic performance driving, or if you'd like to shift for yourself, you can push it forward or back once in the manual mode. And with 8 gears instead of 6, you can have a gear for every situation. Of course, in this case, the X1 doesn't come with a manual, as in other BMWs where you get a choice, but once you've tried this, you won't miss the 6-speed manual. The third impressive feature are these seats, and actually these are the best chairs I've sat in any vehicle I've driven. Actually, I was thinking about tearing one out and putting it in my office. They're really that good, and if other manufacturers could take one of these and copy them and put them in all cars, I think there'd be a lot of happy drivers out there. I spent 11 hours driving 650 miles straight and they'll let it go another 11 hours more. These are really, really nice seats, and I'm very impressed. As far as the tires go, it's very simple. If you like them, or you want to keep your car factory spec, keep them. If you don't like them, do what I would do, replace them. But whatever you do, if you go out of town, make sure you have a spare and save yourself a lot of grief. Well, I had to cut this video short. It seems there's a nasty windstorm blowing in. It's messing up my video and audio equipment. So I thought I'd hide out in the vehicle and show you the price sheet that goes on the windshield, because if you've been watching this long, you are probably wondering how much a BMW X1 costs. So, the base price is $30,650. This includes a long list of standard equipment that's a bit too long to read here, so I'll just jump on the option list. M Sportline package, $3,000. Lighting package, that's what we saw in the video when we were in the casino parking lot, that's $1,200 extra. It's a pretty good system, so I paid $1,200 for that. Then there's a premium package. It includes a universal garage door opener. Well, you know I don't need that. You saw that when I got on my driveway on the video. Covered access keyless entry. Panoramic moonroof. I've often wondered, why is it on the expensive cars it's called a moonroof, and on the cheap peasant cars it's called a sunroof? I've never figured that out. Auto dimming mirrors, auto dimming rear view mirror, power front seats, lumbar support, interior mirror with compass. Now that does not include the piece of tape that I put on the mirror over the sensor hole. That comes out of your pocket extra. The premium package is $3,950. Ooh. And Steptronic 8-speed automatic transmission is standard. Sevatronic steering system, $250. I can't comment on that because I haven't driven a car with the base steering. But I found the steering on this vehicle with this option pretty good, so I think I'd give them $250 for that. Satellite radio with 1-year subscription for $350. Well, I would have to have that. Destination charge, we all have to pay $895, so that brings us to a grand total of $40,295. And if we bumped off their premium package, that would get us down to around $36,000, give or take. That's a pretty good buy for this vehicle, especially compared to the Japanese and American compact SUVs in this size range. But keep in mind, if you get everything on this vehicle, the large 6-cylinder turbo 300 horse engine with all-wheel drive, and all of the options, I am told they run around $53,000 max. Personally, I prefer this smaller one with the 4-cylinder engine for around $36,000 would be my choice. But, as always, it's your choice, depending on your pocketbook. But overall, I think the X1 is a great vehicle. If you're looking for a compact rig and you can afford 30 to 40 grand, and you enjoy driving, I think you'll like it a lot more than the Japanese and American competition.